And now, ladies and gentlemen, the first time on our show, I got a chance to watch the documentary. It is a sensational documentary. Very happy to have her on as we were Nathan reached out to her, and Jabba has a very good connection with her. Very happy to have her on. We are now talking to executive producer of It Ain't Over, the one and only, the granddaughter of the late, great Yogi Berra, Lindsay Berra. Lindsay, what's up?
Not much. Thanks for having me.
I got a chance to watch the documentary when it was in the movie theaters. It was in the movies for a little while, and it was sensational. Mm-hmm. I was a big Yogi Berra fan growing up. I mean, obviously, I wasn't alive, but my grandfather used to tell me stories about Yogi, Joe DiMaggio, obviously Mickey Mantle, and Babe Ruth. So I got a chance to know. But Yogi Berra was the most successful New York Yankee because he won more rings than any Yankee in history. Tell us a little bit about being the granddaughter of one of the greatest baseball players to ever play the game.
First of all, it's very cool that you got to see the movie in the theater because it was a very different experience on the big screen than, we all love sitting on the couch and Netflix and whatever, but it was 100%. Really cool.
I didn't watch it. I just want to let you know something. I didn't see it in a movie theater. I got a chance to see it at Patchogue's theater. So the library actually put it up on a big screen right behind the library. So they did it on a big screen, and that was the first time I got a chance to watch it in the back of the library in Patchogue, New York. So it was a big screen outside. Cool. So, okay, I'm sorry.
That's great.
Yes.
Your question, people ask me a lot about what it was like to be the granddaughter of Yogi Berra. When I was a kid, I had no idea that grandpa was anything special, right? He was like everybody else's grandpa. I had friends whose grandfathers were teachers and accountants and bus drivers and restaurant owners. And I thought grandpa's job, he was a baseball coach, and it really wasn't any different than any of those other things. And, by the time I got old enough to understand that Grandpa Yogi and Yogi Berra were the same guy, he'd already been Grandpa Yogi for so long that the Yogi Berra thing kind of didn't really resonate. And even now, when I think about Yogi Berra, the 10 World Series rings and 18 All-Star games and 3 MVPs and all the records, he's sometimes in my head not the same guy as the Grandpa Yogi who burned the hot dogs at the family barbecues, but even though I intellectually know that he is, he was a great grandfather. He was obviously a great human being. The world got to see that, and I was very lucky to have him until I was 39 years old.
Wow.
A lot of people don't get their grandparents that way, so that was a real gift.
Lindsay, it's first of all, good to see you.
Hello, Jabba. How are you?
Good, hon. How are you?
I'm good. I can't believe your kid is like a full-fledged adult.
I don't like it. He literally just sent me a picture. He just got a big package of a bunch of steaks and everything. So he's now him and his roommates. He got his own house now. So it's, now they're fighting all over that. So I had the pleasure. You obviously had a lot more years with him, and I got to know him. And one of my favorite possessions is obviously a signed ball by him. But just, I think more so than anything, a lot of people got to see the personality more so than the baseball player because a lot of us weren't around. The stories that you just sit and listen. And I think I was late a couple times because he just kept telling stories. And I was like, I think I got to go get ready or something. I don't know what's going on. Is there one story that stands out? And I'm not even talking baseball or just something. The burnt hot dog made me think of this because I was going a different direction. But that just how real he was, because we all saw him, as the Yogiisms and all this stuff and it was just him. Like it wasn't like he tried to do this. That was just the way it came off. And you're like, did he just say that? And then he just keep walking like they didn't miss a beat or anything. Is there one that is just a fond memory that you have that sticks out to you?
For the first part of what you said, like, I do agree wholeheartedly that Grandpa's personality kind of overtook his status in people's minds as a baseball player. There's a big recency bias there. Most people alive today didn't get to see him play. And I get into, Twitter fights all the time, people saying Johnny Bench was better. And it's definitely people who didn't see him play. If you want to break down the numbers, my grandpa can take on Johnny Bench any day of the week. And it just matters really which guy you liked better. The Yogiisms, they just kind of came out of his mouth. It was the way he saw the world. Everything was very black and white, right or wrong. He had the most forthright moral compass in the world. He was very much able to cut through all the crap and get to the root of a problem or the point of what was actually happening. somebody posted something on Twitter the other day about Derek Jeter in a slump, and Grandpa said, "I know what your problem is. You need to swing at strikes." And Jeter talks about it. I've heard him tell the story many times, and like, you should be swinging at strikes. Like, it's so painfully obvious that you don't really think about it all the time. You're thinking about all these other external things that might be going on. But just like stories about like who he is, I live in Montclair, which is where he lived for most of his life after coming here from St. Louis. They moved here. My grandparents moved here in 1959. And there's still a lot of people that encountered him here. And the stories that you get from folks they're always the same, whether they met him at the deli or they met him at church or they saw him at a parking lot somewhere or at a kid's baseball game, one of my cousins or mine or my brothers or at the ice rink when I was playing hockey. They always tell the stories about how I met your grandfather this one time and we had a really nice conversation and he gave me so much of his time and I felt like I was the only person there. He never blew anybody off. He treated everybody how he would have wanted to be treated. And all these people come up and tell me, like, I loved your grandfather. And they actually mean it in the same sense of the word as I mean it when I say I loved my grandfather. And that's a totally incredible thing, regardless of how good of a baseball player he was or not. He just was able to kind of connect with people on a really human level, no matter who they were.
So obviously you're the board member with the museum with Yogi Berra, and I always was fascinated with baseball history a lot more than a lot of the other sports too. Like, what has been the evolution of the stuff that he's told you and the stuff that you've also dealt with, like working in the museum, from player to obviously manager later in his career, and then even after he retired from the game altogether, and the impact that he had. So
the museum's been around for like 27 years now, maybe. Are we in our 27th year? And when it first opened, the idea was not my grandfather's. My grandfather never would have said, "Hey, we need a museum dedicated to me." Not that kind of guy. Absolutely. He thought it was a preposterous idea. But when they brought it to him and they tagged on the Yogi Berra Museum and Learning Center part of it, the Learning Center part was what really got him going. My grandfather quit school in the 8th grade. And he was always very self-conscious about the fact that he didn't have a high school degree. When he got to the Yankees, as soon as he had enough money to do it, he endowed a scholarship fund at Columbia University that still exists today. We have the crux of what we do at the museum is education programs. And we talk about all the great things that my grandfather did on the baseball field. You can see all 27 Yankees World Series rings in the museum, all of his grandpa's MVP plaques. We've got bronze gloves and all kinds of stuff. But the point of it is that we kind of carry his values forward of treating people with decency and respect and being the best that you can be, maybe overcoming adversity. Grandpa was told that he was, too short, too squat, looked like a gorilla, looked like an ape, looked like a fire hydrant, looked like a fat girl running in a too tight skirt. I don't even know. Somebody wrote that in the Daily News, that he was too ugly to be a Yankee. I don't even know what that means. Have you seen some of the Yankees over the years? Oh. Anyway, so you if a kid comes in and he's got no idea really about baseball and is not a baseball fan, kids can identify with being a first-generation immigrant, with being a veteran. My grandfather served his country, was a machine gunner at the D-Day invasion. They can identify with being underestimated or told they can't do something. And that's really what we do at the museum. And through Grandpa's career, all the stages that you just mentioned, a player, a manager, and then his post-career, it was really how he kind of carried himself that made him the person that he was. They just put in the chat, who was the ugliest looking teammate you had, Jeff?
Hey man, what happens in the clubhouse stays in the clubhouse. I can't be.
I was trying to keep it in the private chat, John.
I've got it. I'll tell you who the ugliest teammate he's ever played with. Kevin Youkilis.
There was a story ages ago it's actually I can't even believe I'm saying this, but in Men's Journal years ago, the writer Matt Taibbi did a story called The Upside of Ugly. And it was about the benefit of having an ugly guy in your lineup. And I remember this because Grandpa Yogi was put forward as one of these, ugly people. There was a line that I still remember. I can try to, it was said something like, well, Mark Teixeira has a swing so beautiful, you want to paint it. Kevin Youkilis battling a middle reliever to a 9-pitch walk looks like a rhinoceros trying to fuck a washing machine. I still remember that. I remember reading it out loud to my colleagues at ESPN Magazine at the time. And thinking like, well, I'd want Kevin Youkilis in the lineup. Why not?
That sounds about right.
We are talking to executive producer of It Ain't Over, Lindsay Berra. By the way, Yogi Berra's granddaughter, also the board of member at Yogi Berra Museum and the content creator at Team Mustard, by the way. Yogi, I've never met Yogi. I've heard a lot of stories about him. I've met Don Mattingly over the years. I've met Mickey Mantle when I was a kid, but I never got a chance to meet Yogi Berra. And Yogi Berra, with all the achievements, and let me read some of the achievements Yogi Berra had. 18 All-Stars, 13 World Series championships, 3-time American League MVP. He's in Monument Park. And he's one of the best major league players at his position. Some people say the best catcher of all time. When you look at your grandfather and all his achievements, what is the achievement that sticks out the most out of all the achievements?
He would tell you it was Don Larson's perfect game in the 1956 World Series. He never would talk to you about what he did well. He would always kind of push it off onto his teammates. Remember that game when Mickey hit 3 home runs, or the game, Donnie's perfect game. He was always trying to push it off to everybody else. My favorite of Grandpa's stats, he won his first MVP in 1951, right? 51. But I think 1950 was his best season. 656 plate appearances, 597 at-bats, 28 home runs, 124 RBIs. He hit 322 and struck out 12 times in the entire season. I mean, that is it's mind-blowing physical challenge to anybody to try to make that happen, even in your wiffle ball league, because it ain't happening. He was just so able to put the bat on the ball.
A catcher, too. Just think about it, guys. He was a catcher who didn't strike out. Tell me a catcher in history, and when you talk about Johnny Bench, Mike Piazza, Pudge Rodriguez, you can name all the great ones. Tell me a catcher that only struck out 12 times in a season. There is none.
And don't forget what size bat he used, by the way. He wasn't using a toothpick.
No, Grandpa was only 5'8", 192 pounds. He swung a 34-inch, 35-ounce bat. I mean, it's heavy. And the handles were fat. We have them in the museum. You can come and actually touch the handles and compare them to the, Jeter's bats, the bats that people use today. His is tremendous. And actually we have a Roberto Clemente bat right next to him. Roberto Clemente was 165 pounds soaking wet with rocks in his pockets, and he swung a 36. That's crazy.
It's unbelievable. It's when you look at the stature of Yogi Berra, 5'8", and the way he was hitting the ball, power wise, and everything that he did as a baseball player. It's an amazing story. And guys, if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's on Netflix. I know people were telling me that
we lost our Netflix license. It's on Amazon and Apple now.
All right, so Amazon and Apple. It is a great documentary. You get a chance to see him when he was a kid and how he moved forward as a baseball player all the way from high school to the major leagues. And really, the back end, he did quit school in 8th grade. And the little story is he didn't want to be a Yankee. He wanted, I think if I'm not mistaken, he wanted to be a Cardinal. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to play for the St. Louis Cardinals. But I think the Cardinals decided to go with another player, sign another player. And that was when he decided, hey, the Yankees gave him an offer, and he took the Yankees offer. And it was probably the best thing, as he said, it was the best thing that ever happened to him. So it is a great story. He is I didn't know him. Joppa knew him. It's your grandfather. And there are people that I know that knew him very, very well and told me he was one of the most kindest people you could ever talk to. And he always had a story to tell. Always told a story. It didn't matter how many times he told the story to a T. It was like every time he told the story, he didn't change the story around. It was the exact same story over and over and over again. Everybody tells me that. So it is a crazy, he was a crazy, unique person. I got a question for you. You look at all his teammates he's played with. You've got Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio, all these guys that he played with. Who was the guy that he told you was his favorite to play with, and why was he his favorite Yankee to play with?
He didn't really talk about guys like that. He talked about Joe DiMaggio with a lot of awe and reverence. I think there's a story about Grandpa like booting a ball in one of his first games up behind home plate, and DiMaggio came running off the field after the inning and got in Grandpa's face and said, "Get better." And Grandpa was terrified, and he got better. But I think that there was a part of Grandpa that was always a little bit terrified of Joe DiMaggio. So there was that. But as far as favorite guy to play with, I mean, he was on the same team for 18 years, right? Mm. These guys were so much more than just his teammates. Like Phil Rizzuto is my father's godfather. I grew up with Mickey Mantle and Hank Bauer and Moose Skowron and White Ford and Eddie Lopak, Gil McDougall, all these people in and out of the house. They were just like friends of they were Grandpa's buddies, right? Like, and I think he loved that they could like put Grandpa at 3, 4, 5, but jockeying him and Mickey Mantle, making other teams decide like who they wanted to pitch to on any given day because you're screwed either way. I think they loved screwing with people like that. Grandpa loved calling games. He loved getting the most out of pitchers, and he was really good at it. He really loved what he did, and I think he would have loved doing it with whomever you put him on the field with. But really, they were his buddies. I mean, they hung out till they were like 90. My grandfather was at, Phil Rizzuto's bedside almost every day in the weeks before he passed. And they talked to Whitey Ford on the regular, like even when they're both of their health was declining. Like these were like really lifelong friendships we're talking about.
I couldn't even imagine. I'm sitting in a house as a young kid and Mickey Mantle comes right in and Whitey Ford walks in the door, and they're sitting down. And it's Uncle Whitey, Uncle Mickey. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, who are these guys? And then I realized,
didn't even know though. When I didn't know. I mean, I knew they were baseball players, but it was a long time. Like I had to get older to really understand, just how amazing these guys actually were.
It's crazy. It is. It's a crazy story.
How long? Because he literally would bring this up, and we had this conversation because I'd like to poke the bear every once in a while. How long did he tell you that Jackie Robinson was out? Because every time he literally he was out. No, he was out.
I have never. I mean, he insisted he was out. I'll tell you another story after that. But wait, this is funny. So he always insisted Jackie was out, and I can't even tell you. Like, I mean, 1,000 times people came up to us in restaurants or at ball games or whatever, and they'd be like, "Yogi, I got a question for you. And they'd get the first syllable of Jackie's name out of his and Grandpa would go out. He was out, right? Like totally crazy. So 2014, he's in assisted living. Dementia is like really bad. I used to go up in there in the afternoons, and if it was summertime, I'd put the pregame show on for him or whatever was on Yes Network. And wintertime, I'd put on Michael Kay's show 3, 4 o'clock, whatever time it was, because the baseball stuff kind of brought him back to reality. So I show up there one afternoon in November, and he's got no idea what's going on. He doesn't know if he's had lunch, doesn't know if he wants dinner, thinks he's got a tea time in Tampa. He's late for it, totally out of it. Put on Michael Kay show. Michael starts talking. Grandpa kind of perks up. He whacks me. Linz, what's Michael talking about? I said, he just got back from the general managers meetings and they approved instant replay for use in games. And Grandpa goes, what does that mean? And I'm like, it means instead of getting all rootin' tootin' mad when you didn't like the call and running out of the dugout and kicking dirt on people, you just point to the sky and they would get to watch the same replay we see at home. Exactly. There he is, rootin' tootin' mad with the vein sticking out of his neck. And the umpires would get to overturn the play on the field if they'd gotten the call wrong. And I'm telling you, he'd been completely out of it 2 seconds before. And he just says to me, so you mean Jackie would have been out? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, Grandpa, that's what it means. Like you've got the instant replay down. But yeah, he insisted until the day he died that Jackie had been out.
So I want to ask from the other perspective, like obviously you're a catcher, you're facing a lot of the guys, the batters directly in the box, you're trash talking the hitters like that. Well, any hitters that like that he was saying, well, this guy really will rile you up, or even a crazy occurrence that he saw with some of these hitters.
He used to talk to everybody. People would he used to throw dirt in their shoes, and he was always asking them ridiculous questions like, how's the wife and the kids? Did you go fishing? How many fish did you catch the last time? Where are you going fishing in the off season? And people would just be like, Yogi, shut up. I'm trying to hit whatever. There's a really famous one. Hank Aaron was at the 58 World Series. Somebody correct me. When did they play the Braves? And Aaron came up to bat, and Grandpa, again, he just would say mindless, ridiculous stuff. And he would say, Hank, you got your bat upside down. It's supposed to be so you can read the label. And Hank very famously says, Yogi, I didn't come up here to read. So it's he just was yapping to everybody. He loved getting on everybody's case.
We are talking
including his grandchildren.
Oh, there you go. We are talking to executive producer of It Ain't Over, Lindsay Berra, Yogi Berra's granddaughter. It's so funny. I'm a Billy Crystal fan. I love Billy Crystal. Everything about Billy is stand-up. All the movies he's been in. I've watched Sleepless in Seattle. It was a movie that I watched when I was a kid. And with the Yankees, he's always been a part of the Yankees. He's been the voice of the New York Yankees for forever. Movies, television series, everything. What was it like working with Billy Crystal?
Billy was amazing. He was really great. So if you see the film, fortunately, I end up narrating that movie, and my choice was actually Billy Crystal. And I thought from the beginning that was what we were going to do. We were going to have Billy narrate the film, and he was all on board. And he does wonderful interviews in the film. He's just great, and he was great helping me promote it. And he did some Q&As and stuff, and he had great stories about Grandpa and Mickey Mantle and Maris and Shooting 61 and all that kind of stuff. He's great. He's a huge baseball fan, Billy, and just has such fond memories of the Yankees when he was a little kid. And you can tell when he talks about it, like he's 12 when he's telling you about like his love of the Yankees and where it came from and all that kind of stuff. He's a really a great guy. I've enjoyed it.
And I laugh all the time when I watch the movie City Slickers. He's always wearing a Mets hat, and I never got it. This guy's a Yankee fan, and throughout the movie, he's wearing a New York Mets hat. If I ever met and get a chance to meet Billy Crystal, that's the first question. That's one of the all-time funniest movies, as far as I'm concerned, with you in it. And you're a diehard Yankee fan, and you're a Mets hat. It makes no sense, Billy. It makes none. I had to say that.
Grandpa wore a Mets hat for 11 years.
Well, that's different. I mean, it's Yogi Berra. Billy Crystal, I mean, it made no sense. In every single movie I've ever seen him in, I've loved Billy. Every single movie he's ever touched, even stand-up stuff. Him and Robin Williams and Whoopi Goldberg, when I used to watch him do stand-up, loved Billy Crystal out of all of them. And then I see him, I watched City Slickers. I went to see City Slickers 1 and 2 in the movie theater. And I'm like, wait a second, isn't Billy Crystal a diehard Yankee fan? What the hell is he wearing a Mets hat for? I'd be like, Billy, I got to smack you around a couple times. No Yankee fan wears a Mets hat. None. And Yogi actually played, he worked with the Mets. He was a part of the Mets organization for a while. So that's okay. Billy Crystal never played baseball. He was a diehard Yankee fan. That's all I had to add. Sorry.
He did. He played in spring training.
Oh, stop. Are you going to tell?
He took us to dinner that night too. I mean, it was nice of him to take. He struck out, but he took us to dinner.
Who was the country singer that tried to make it to the professional baseball? Garth Brooks tried to make it to professional baseball. Yeah, I remember that story, and I'm like, and Garth was actually a pretty good baseball player. He can hit it. But he tried out.
I just watched a Tom Selleck at bat on Instagram the other day. You can find anything on the internet.
Mr. Baseball is one of my favorite movies, too. I love that movie. When he went to Japan, and that's a great movie, by the way. If anybody has never seen Mr. Baseball in the 1980s, sensational. But, to get back with your grandfather, growing up in a family, a big family, your grandmother, and part of the documentary, you see his love for his wife. What was it like? I mean, the togetherness of your family. What brought your grandfather, and your grandmother together?
You're going to make me cry now. My grandparents were amazing. They met at Biggie's restaurant, which was Stan Musial's restaurant on the Hill in St. Louis, in 1949. And my grandfather was with Joe Garagiola, his buddy who lived directly across the street from him, who also made the big leagues, won a World Series with the Cardinals. Joe used to say, usually when you make the big leagues, you're the best catcher in your school, your town, your state. With Yogi across the street, I wasn't even the best catcher on my block. They used to go into Biggie's, and Grandpa Yogi sees Grammy going in and out, and he thinks she's cute. And Joe and Grandpa would go sit at the bar and get glasses of water because they couldn't afford to eat at the restaurant. And Grandpa would basically just sit there and stare at Grammy Carmen until Joe said, "We got to get out of here and get something to eat. I'm hungry." At the beginning, she wouldn't date him because she thought he was married. Then she thought she didn't date ball players. And then she finally agrees to go out with him, and they were married like 11 months later. But my grandfather does not get out the door if it is not for Grammy Carmen, like for the rest of his life. They were absolutely incredible. She would say that the reason they were married for 65 years was because he was on the road for half of it. I don't believe that. It was a really amazing thing to watch. Like, and I know it now, like, you know, we grow up, you see people's relationships. Some of them are great. Some of them are shitty. Some of them are shitty and great, you know, whatever. But you look at the way those two were together and the way she was like so able to just completely selflessly share him with every other person on the planet who wanted a piece of him. And just, they were so secure in their relationship together. He was just absolutely smitten with her and she loved him to death. And it was a really cool thing to watch.
I know, it's an amazing story. And he said that family meant everything. And if it wasn't for your grandmother, he wouldn't be the man he is today or was at that time. So it's a great story. And I'm telling you guys, if you're a Yogi Berra fan and you're a Yankee fan, you have to check out this documentary. It's sensational. I'm a documentary guru. I love documentary. I tell Jabba all the time, I'm like, I don't even want to watch movies anymore. I'm trying to find the next documentary I could watch. And this is one of the best documentaries, very well put together. And, it's sensational. And Jabba told me a little bit about your museum. Tell us a little bit more about your museum. You have an event coming up very, very soon. Tell us a little bit about the event that you have coming up here in New York.
We're really excited about this. So it's the Yogi Berra Museum and Learning Center. It's on the campus of Montclair State University. It's 3 minutes from where I'm sitting right now. It's actually in Little Falls, New Jersey. May 12th would have been my grandfather's 100th birthday. So we've had events all year, all summer in celebration of his centennial year. But our big event is September 21st. It's a Sunday, 1:00 in the afternoon. We are going to break the Guinness World Record for the largest game of catch on Yogi Berra Stadium, which is the ballpark adjacent to the museum. We need 2,000 people to break the record. We're hoping for 2,800 maybe. So we need everybody. Go to yogisbigcatch.org and sign up. It's going to be a super fun day. We're going to have food trucks and music and some old Yankees running around, and the museum's going to be open. And then we have another very cool thing happening. To the best of my knowledge, since my grandfather was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1972, his plaque has been on the wall in Cooperstown. They are taking it down for that day and driving it to New Jersey. It's going to be at our museum just for the one day only, the day of the big catch. So you can come and break a Guinness World Record and have your picture taken with Grandpa Yogi's plaque in our theater. It's going to be a really great day. So I would appreciate anybody coming out. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we don't care if you're not good at playing catch. To break the record, you only have to be 10 feet apart and you play catch for 5 minutes, and it doesn't matter if you drop the ball. So if you stink, we want you anyway.
Lindsay, what made you? I know you guys had an event. Like, what made you like want to do a game of catch? Because obviously it's an important. I still just lost my dad 5 months ago, and like that, I still remember, playing catch and him actually letting me, dive on the grass and get grass stains, and I wouldn't get in trouble for it. So that was always nice when he would let me do that. So what made you guys do this? Because I know it's something special for all of us. Now, me being a dad myself.
Full credit goes to Eve Shanen, our museum director. It was really her idea when she was kind of just thinking about the connection Grandpa had with people, so many people in our area, but also with so many people he never met, like the impact he made on people. And, you think about kids being on their phones nowadays and nobody putting their digital stuff down to actually like look at each other and really connect. And when you think back to playing catch when you're a kid, right? Think about like how in tune you were with the person on the other end of that ball and how quickly the world narrowed to just the space between the two of you, and just how nice and sweet and pleasant all those memories are. And it kind of transports you back to being a kid when times were simple and that was really all there was, right? And we just kind of hope that we can get a whole bunch of kids and dads and moms and coaches and just folks out there and maybe feeling that connection for a little while, playing this game that they love, that my Grandpa Yogi loved too.
It's a great. Let me tell you something. I'm going. We're all going to go. We're going to show up for Yogi. I know Jabba's going. I think Jabba's flying. Right, Jabba? You're going to the event, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to. It's 2 days before my birthday.
How old are we now?
We'll bring you a
Jabba?
cupcake if you come.
Oh, I'll be the big 4-0.
Oh,
Lindsay, you're not supposed to tell my secrets. We talked about that.
I didn't tell anyone.
Oh, yeah.
I want you to
Yes.
steal second. Okay.
Yeah, right.
there's
Yeah, you
secrets.
were.
We don't know.
Hey,
any
I won't
secrets?
go. I won't go where I could have gone with that, Lindsay.
Oh yeah, you're
I'm
going
way
to-
older than you, so I'm allowed
Oh,
to tell
you said it. I didn't. I wasn't going to get in
I'm
trouble
way
for
older
that.
than you.
I wasn't going to get in trouble for
way
that.
much older than you.
Well, hold on one second.
Ancient.
Way much older than you. How much older are you? I mean, come on, Lindsay.
I'm 47.
I'm 43.
I'm
I'm 43.
I'm older than you too. Then
Age is just a number, baby. Okay, so as I tell everybody on the show, anybody that's younger than me, they're what do I call them, Speedy?
They're all babies.
They're all babies,
baby, near children.
near children. I pat them on the back. So if I see Jabba, obviously Jabba's 6'3", I'm 5'10". I'll climb his back to pat him.
You ain't climbing nothing, bro. No.
Where's my ladder?
Good. I'm good on the climbing.
But we're gonna go to the event and we're gonna try to bring as many people as we possibly can because I'm actually wearing an authentic Yogi Berra jersey. Authentic. It's a beautiful jersey. I own very few Yankee jerseys. I'm a Yankee fan, but
Is that a Bears jersey? What is that?
No, this is unique. I'll show you. I don't think you've ever seen anything like this.
I thought it was a Newark Bears jersey.
No. Oh, look at this. It's
You
his
got
minor,
that off the Wish website or something.
No, it's his minor league jersey.
Oh no! You know, if it's his minor league bit, that is it's Norfolk. then.
Norfolk. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Norfolk Tars.
Yes.
The Piedmont League.
This
but
is
I don't
a
think
real-
he had his name on.
Well, I know. Obviously, it's a rare jersey over here, and I didn't buy. What are you trying to say, Jabba? What are you saying? My jerseys aren't real? They're not good enough for you?
just giving shit.
You know what? Jabba hates us calling him.
Joba.
He hates us calling him Joba.
Lindsay's heard everything
All right.
in New York that I've been called.
So what I did, Lindsay, is I got his Nebraska jersey, he's number 62, and instead of having Jabba put on the back of his jersey, I put Joe, J-O-B-A, J-O-E apostrophe B-A, Joba. And when I see Joba, I'm going to have him sign it.
Oh, God.
And I'm going to station it right in our studio. I love messing with him. And it's been a crazy ride we've had over the past year. And I don't know if you knew this. Jabba came on our show as a guest. And when he came on the show, he told me, Speedy told me right over here, he told me 20 minutes. 20 minutes, that's all Jabba's got. And before you know it, this guy is on the call for about an hour and 20 minutes. He takes over the conversation. And I'm like, I thought you only wanted to be on for 20 minutes. He started laughing. And then before you know it, the Yankees were in the playoffs, and he reached out to me and said, yo, could we do something for the Yankee game and for Yankees Cleveland? I said, yeah, let's do something. So I said, let's do like a podcast. So we did it together. We worked very, very good together. And I said, you know what? Let's put something together and create a podcast. And since then, we've been a top 200 podcast in the country right now on Spotify and Apple. And we're very successful. We're doing sensational work right now. And I don't think there's better content in the industry than ours. So I think it's great. And Jabba's been unique because I wouldn't expect Jabba to know anything more than baseball, but he actually knows a lot more than people think. But the best thing about this show is really sticking it to Jabba. You know, you have to find ways to get under his skin, and when you get under his skin, he's like He's like a wolf and a bear put together. I swear. He if he can jump through the screen and bite your head off, I think he would. So true story on that.
John will transform into a wolf and a bear hybrid when you allegedly try to climb on him.
I love it.
Did Grandpa get your name right? Did Grandpa always call you Jabba properly? Because my favorite was he always called Robbie Canoe.
Oh, yeah. But you never correct him. You just that was just the way it is.
Oh no, I corrected him all the time. I was like, Canoe, who's Canoe?
Oh, I couldn't imagine.
You knew.
Do this.
My dad would always say when that would happen, he'd be like, "You knew who I was talking about, right?" And then you'd be like, "Yeah, I guess you're right."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine your father trying to pronounce my name. I couldn't imagine it.
Oh,
I couldn't.
He'd probably called you like you look like a Brett, so he's going to call you Brett. That's the way. That's what he would remember you, but like, yeah, it literally that's what he would do. One of my favorite was Old Timers Day, when Yogi and Whitey would get together, and then they would go and they would sit in the training room. They would tell stories, and Whitey would have a Bud Heavy, and they would just be sitting there. And I remember my first Old Timers Day, I literally I don't think I moved. I was like, is this like really happening? Like, what am I watching right now? I was like, it just. Those stories, and I can only imagine, and it's so cool for you because it's like that was normal. Like that was just, hey, that's Grandpa's friend. It's like, hey, they're hanging out. Like, and then you're like, oh, yeah, they're kind of cool, but no, they make fun of me and pick on me, and that's just the greatest thing, and
yeah,
it's always so fun, because you never know. He just all of a sudden, only thing you could count on was him and Gator in spring training. And I think the first time I had frog legs was, of course, Gator brought him. And I always look forward because Gator would get there a couple days early. He's like, I got to get ready. I got to pick up Yogi at 2:00. And then it'd be like, we're doing frog legs next week. And I'm like, I'm from Nebraska. I never, ever. He's like, you have to try them. And then, you'd get something from Yogi, and it would just be like, well, you can't say no at that point, can you? But yeah, that was another relationship. It was always so cool to watch those two. And I mean, they were thick as thieves together in spring training, and just, it was really, really fun to watch those guys.
Gator became sort of like his fourth son, and he's been tremendous with the museum. He co-hosts our golf outing now, and he will actually be there with us on September 21st. So
does he still have great hair?
He does have great hair, actually. And he's got the best accent. I could listen to Gator read the phone book. I love listening to him. 100%. But he's got that, if anyone is interested in reading a good book, Harvey Araton wrote this book called Driving Mr. Yogi about Gator running Grandpa around spring training, and the stories that Gator tells about like Grandpa following a busty woman around the frozen food section at the supermarket, or picking the one he tells all the time is him dropping Grandpa off at the airport to go film the Aflac commercial, and then picking him up on the back end. And I mean, I'm butchering and shortening a very long story that Gator tells, and it's great. But when Grandpa Yogi jumps back in Gator's truck, Gator's like, "How was it, Yog?" And he says, Gator, the duck don't talk. and the way Gator tells that story is tremendous. But they were just really great pals. Gator still refers to him as his little buddy.
Well, Lindsay, we really appreciate you. You're sensational. We'd love to get you on again. I didn't expect you to be on as long as you were because, usually everybody rushes 20 minutes like Jabba, 20 minutes, and it turns into
I told Nathan I was going to be in my pajamas and I would stay and then I would go to bed. So, end of story.
You know what's so funny about Nathan? If you know anything about Nathan, he wears this blue blazer, okay? It's a very common picture, and we got to get our executive producer to post up. Have you ever seen him wear this configuration of clothes? I mean, seriously, Lindsay, this is one of the worst dressing people I've ever seen in my entire life. Go ahead, Fish.
It's bad.
You have to see this. You have to see this. This is like really, really bad, Lindsay. I'm trying to help him. We need to take him shopping. This is somebody that really needs we need to take him out for a suit or some kind of opportunity. Do we have it? Is it up? Do we have it, Mr. Fish? Here it is. Hold on. Here it is. Could you imagine wearing something of that magnitude?
The camo. He's got the plaid with the camo. He's mixing prints.
I mean, come on. Mixing? I mean, that is probably the worst dresser I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, a red polo shirt with a blue blazer, and it looks like he just came out of the service. Oh, man. What a man.
You come to the catch, you can just wear sneakers and then a Yogi t-shirt.
There you go. And I'm definitely going to go. I'm going to get the boys to go, and I'm looking forward to getting a chance to meet you, and hopefully Jabba can get a chance to go down there. It's a great opportunity to get a chance to celebrate one of the greatest baseball players, one of the greatest Yankees of all time, and get a chance to check out his museum and all the different things that you'll have the opportunity to do at this event. Tell the fans one more time what day and how they can find this and sign up for it.
So it's September 21st. Gates open at 11:30. The big catch is happening at 1:00. You sign up at yogisbigcatch.org. If you don't have a mitt, we're going to have one for you. No need to bring baseballs. We've got those. Show up with 5, 10, 35 of your closest friends. We'll be greatly appreciative of it. And again, we got the food trucks and the music and the Hall of Fame plaque in the theater. And it's just going to be a super fun day there. It's on the campus of Montclair State University, Yogi Berra Museum and Learning Center. And hopefully we break this Guinness World Record. There was just an article in the New York Times Sunday magazine that said the hardest thing about breaking Guinness World Records, no one can do it now, is you can't get people to show up. And you can't get people to get off their butts, put their phones down, get off the couch and show up in person to do stuff. So we want to prove them wrong.
Well, I like to show up to things. I get in trouble sometimes when I show up to things, doing the things I do. By the way, I broke a record, a Guinness Book of World Record. I'm not going to mention it.
Hold on. A what?
A Guinness Book of World Record.
Guinness World Record.
Guinness.
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 I didn't know if there was another book out there.
Be quiet, Jabba. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth, Jabba. All right. This is what I got to deal with. He's doing the picking on now tonight. I mean, this is the guy that I pick on during the show, and now right in front of Lindsay and the granddaughter of one of the greatest baseball players of all time, he's picking on me. What are you drinking over there, Jabba?
Water.
I know. I'm just trying to get you here.
Hydrate or die.
Yeah, he does. He hydrates. I'm hydrating too, but I've been staying away from sugar, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I don't have a shaker.
What is that right there? What is that right there? What bottle is that?
Water bottle.
Oh, all right. Interesting.
This is Mustard.
Oh, that's right.
I work for Mustard.
Team Mustard.
Is pitching app. Team Mustard. Check it out.
How do they find your Team Mustard? Is there a website to find Team Mustard?
TeamMSTRD.com, at TeamMSTRD on Insta and Twitter and the TikTok and all the places. It's Tom, the great Tom House, pitching coach, put his brain into an app so you can kind of have him in your pocket. Gives you pitching biomechanics feedback. And we also partner with Golf Digest and built the app in golf, and you can get coached by Justin Rose and his swing coach, Mark Blackburn. So we've got Mustard Baseball and Mustard Golf.
Well, Lindsay, as always.
Errol likes honey mustard.
I do. I'm a big honey mustard fan. Love it. But it has to be sweet. It can't be, if it tastes anything like mustard, I get sick. I have I get this gagging feeling in my chest if I actually taste mustard.
People have very strong feelings about mustard. It's really amazing.
I don't like it. I really don't. And I'm not a hot dog eater, but if I eat a hot dog, it's got to have relish and some kind of ketchup. Not a lot of ketchup, but some kind of ketchup. So, and I have to have Heinz ketchup. So, just so you know, it can't be any other ketchup. It's got to be Heinz. So, and Jabba, what are you looking at right now? What are you? Oh, here he goes. Here he goes with his mouth. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. What are you gonna say?
Well, nothing. I only heard half of what you said right there. You're cutting in and out.
Oh, are you? I don't know why I'm cutting in and out. Anyways, Lindsay, we really appreciate the time. Keep up the good work, and we will be there. We will be there September 21st to support Yogi and all the great things that he has done and what you're doing right now throughout the community. Thank
you guys so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Jabba, great to see you. Nice
to see you on.
And I'm going to bed.
Lindsay Berra.
All right, guys.
Ladies
See ya.
and gentlemen.
Thank you for joining us.
Yogi Berra's granddaughter, sensational, great personality, knows her baseball. Could you imagine, ladies and gentlemen, and like I said, I have a new mic and people say it's puffing or whatever. I know that the sound is perfect, so it doesn't matter if it's puffing or whatever. I will say this. Could you imagine being a kid and sitting in a house and Mickey Mantle walks in the door, Whitey Ford walks in the door, Phil Rizzuto walks in the door, and they're just sitting in a round table and having a conversation, and you grow up and you're like, I just sat next to one of the greatest switch hitters of all time, one of the greatest infielders of all time, and my grandfather is one of the greatest catchers of all time, and I didn't even know who they were when they were sitting there when I was a kid. So it is an unbelievable story. It really is, and it's sensational. And I'd like to thank Lindsay for joining us. I know she's a busy person. September 21st, we'll talk. We'll set up a carpool. We should all go down and support Yogi Berra and what she's doing right now. It's a sensational story. Thank you very much, Lindsay, for joining us.